Okay, so first thing, some of the lab 7s and lab 6 that you turned in last time, I didn't finish grading it yet, but I'll get it back to you during class today, okay? Because what I have to cover in class is relatively short, and then most of the time you folks just need to make sure you complete the project. Okay, so I'm going to start by going into the daily work folder for today's date. Okay, so first thing, reminder, we have our exam coming up right after spring break. Feel free to email me over the break. I will check my email at least once a day. So if you have questions regarding the exam, then you can certainly ask during the break. Okay, so project 1, there's basically, you should have most of your code, if not all of your code already completed. So this is what I recommend you do. Okay, so make a copy of your docs folder inside the main Docker folder, remove all the unneeded files, and then send to a compressed folder, and then upload that to Laulima Dropbox. All right, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so I'm starting up Windows Explorer and going to get to the main Docker folder. Okay, and inside of there, there's a docs folder. So what I want to do is just copy this. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to paste it on to my desktop in this case. Okay, and it's right here. So what I want to do is open this up, and I don't need these folders. Or any of those files. Okay, and I'm going to delete all of those. But remember, that's my copy, right? That's not the main one actually inside the main Docker folder. This is the one I copied to the desktop. And then inside of my CENT280 folder, I don't need this folder or any of these things, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, so all I have is project 1 inside of CENT280, and inside of docs I have project 1, and then everything in there is what should be in there. Okay, so now I have my cleaned up docs folder. Then what I'm going to do is right click on this and go send to compressed zip folder, and then docs.zip is fine. If you wanted to change the name here, so docs underscore project 1.zip, then that's fine also. Okay, so you want to do that now because you got to turn it in, and then you could still be working on your answers to the setup, your answers to salting and hashing passwords, all the way up until the time you got to turn this in. But if you don't make a copy of this now and upload it, then you got nothing, right? So, or you basically would be in trouble. So I made that copy right there. Okay, so I'm going to go to Dropbox, and I'm going to go to my Dropbox to simulate what's going on. Okay, so in my Dropbox, what I would do is create a folder called Project 1. And then if I'm done, which actually I am because I got all my files completed, then what I would do is just upload that zip file that I have on the desktop. Okay, so where did it go? Right here, docs underscore project 1.zip, and then I upload it. Let's say that I'm not quite done. Okay, if you upload it to working files and then you still need to make a few changes to it before it's finally due, then you could do that. You could get to it from home, and then you could go ahead and fix that. Okay, but most likely you folks are close to finishing it, so get into the form that you want to turn in and actually upload it now. You can always upload the answers to the setup and salting and hashing of passwords. You can upload that later. Just put it in that same folder. Just put a Word document and then, or LibreOffice document is fine also. And then just upload it to that folder. Okay, but get that part of it, the zip file, done now because you need to have access to it in this lab, right? Unless you duplicated it on your home computer. Okay, any questions with respect to that? Okay, so I cleaned out everything that you don't need. You only need the CENT280. Let me open this up to show you again, right? You only need the CENT280 in the Project 1, and inside the CENT280 you just need the Project 1 folder. And then the Project 1 folder inside of Docs that just has those few files that you need to have in there. Okay, so that's what you want to upload, right? You don't want to upload it with all the rest of the stuff in there, just those two folders and the contents inside those folders. Okay, any questions on that? Yeah.
Can I see what to remove in Project 1?
You want to see what's inside of this? Yeah. Okay, so Project 1, and inside of Project 1, actually, testconnect.php, you don't need that in there. You can leave it in there, it doesn't hurt. But you need login.php, handle login.php, and home.php, all completed. Okay, and then I saw a lot of you got that done last time. So upload your project now, right, with these stuff inside of it so that you don't forget to do that. Okay, but it really has just these three files, the three PHP scripts, and then inside of the docs, in the project 1 folder, add users.php, helpers.php, init.sql. Those are the only things that need to be in there. That test underscore hash.py, that doesn't need to be in there. That's not used for the project. That was just used to demonstrate how in Python you can get a SHA-512 hash. Okay, so it's those files there that you need. Okay, so I'm going to say it again, okay, because it's very important. Create that cut down set of folders by making a copy of your docs folder, get rid of what you don't need, then right click on it, go send to compressed folder, then upload it as soon as you have it done, which should be during today's session. Okay, so if not right at this instant, as soon as you have it set up, then definitely do that. And then the setup and then the answers to the salt and hash stuff, you can always turn that in later today. Okay, but make sure you get that part of it up. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so if you have individual questions on that, of course, there'll be time for, I'm going to be walking around and then you can definitely ask questions on that. Okay, so then later on, okay, by the due deadline tonight, okay, make sure you have your Word document or LibreOffice document, that's fine also, with explanations of how to set it up, okay? Don't leave any important steps out, okay? And then the other part explaining salted and hashed passwords. Okay, so if it's Word document, project1.docx, if it's a LibreOffice document, project1.odt, then that's fine. Okay, so either one is fine. Just upload it into the same folder that your zip file for Project 1 is located. Okay, so in my case, right, I have it here. I would upload it into this. Okay, any questions with respect to the project? Okay, so that's mainly what I have to say, and I'll walk around and answer questions in just a little bit. But let me point out one more thing, which is the main reason why I didn't get all the grading done, but I will get it done before class is over today. If you go to the course website, I finally did update Dockers on Windows 10. And if you look at this, there's one way to do it that is similar to what we did. It's not actually, it's different from what we do in class, but it's a way to do it. That's a very good web page. That's a really Nick Janatakis actually does training for Docker. That's one of the main, he creates videos and he teaches classes, paid classes for using Docker. So he has a really good page on that. Now, what I decided to do finally is install Docker Desktop for Windows using Hyper-V. Okay, so the hypervisor technology for Windows. So that means you need Windows 10 Pro or Windows 10 Education. If you have Windows 10 Home Edition, you should do it like how we set it up in class, so like how we do it for Windows 7. Okay, now you need to get a Docker ID, you need to download these things. Then it has a bunch of screenshots that take you through this thing. I'm going to warn you right now that this thing, there's all kinds of stuff that could possibly go wrong, but if you follow this and you set it up this way when you do this installation and then the setup, it's the path that I think is the least amount of error, stuff that you have to deal with. But at the same time, Docker's for Windows, Docker Desktop for Windows is not nearly as stable as doing it on Linux or even the way we have set up in this classroom. So if you find you're going through it and you're in the final stages, you're trying to run it, and for some reason the thing doesn't build, one of the things to always keep in mind is you can always restart the Docker Desktop, and so that's what I recommend. A lot of times that's what you have to do. There is one thing that I put, and I didn't have a chance to make screenshots for it, but that's this part right here. Okay, when you finally do Docker compose up -- build to build all the stuff, because it's going to be tying ports inside the container to the ports outside the container, you cannot do that as a regular user, even though the rest of the stuff, once it's set up, you do it all as regular user. And it shows how to set up the security, so the folder permissions for that folder inside the regular user account. But when you first build it, you got to do it using an administrative PowerShell. Okay, so unlike using conemu like we do in class, everything is PowerShell. Okay, so that's a difference. If you go ahead and try this out and you run into trouble over the spring break, then you certainly can email me and I will attempt to help you. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Kai.
You said it does not need Hyper-V?
No, you need Hyper-V. So if you look, that's a very good question. Okay, so the way I did it was, let's go over some of the simple things. Okay, get a Docker ID. You gotta get a Docker ID because otherwise you can't download the Docker Desktop for Windows executable. Okay, so you get the Docker Desktop for Windows executable, and when I installed it, okay, I don't have the whole window here, but you gotta click OK. Okay, and then it's gonna have all this stuff, unpacking files and installation. Then, if you didn't set up Hyper-V or containers, then you're going to see close and log out. And when you close and log out, it's going to try to start up, and then it'll say this: Hyper-V and containers not enabled. Do you want to enable them? Then you go OK. That's what I found is the most reliable way for this to work, is that actually let Docker say, oh, you need these things, so say OK, then it'll set those settings, and then it'll do a restart. And when it does a restart, it's going to go installing components and things like configuring Windows and stuff like that. So it takes some time. But that's the way that I found works the best, rather than you set it up first before you install it. I don't know why, but that's how.
WSL didn't work?
WSL you can, but that's essentially you're building a Linux machine, and then you got to connect to that Linux machine just like how we connect to the VMware stuff here. So, yeah, that may work, but I've never gotten it to work correctly. Okay, and then so that's one thing, and then Another thing that you're gonna find that's important is that when you set stuff up, you can set the settings, and then if you set the DNS IP to the Google 8.8.8.8, then you won't have problems when you're trying to download the files when you're trying to build all the Docker images and then launch the containers. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in here that if you follow it exactly, I'm going to say there's a good chance it'll work, but I've spent weeks basically trying to get this thing to work correctly, and every time it worked correctly, then I log out, log back in, doesn't work, and you get all these errors, and then I just restart Docker desktop and then try the same command, and then it works. Okay, so I don't really like that. By doing just a restart Docker desktop, you don't lose anything. But if you do a reset, you're going to lose whatever's inside of your containers. So if you had built up your PostgreSQL databases or anything like that, those could get wiped out. But just restarting Docker Desktop doesn't do that. So that's what I would always do if something was working and doesn't work anymore. That would be my first step, is to just restart Docker Desktop. Okay, so I can't demonstrate that here because this is not Windows 10. But when you click on that symbol that looks like a caret, that's, you know, that shows like the processes that are not displayed on the taskbar, then you right click on the Docker desktop icon. It'll come up with a menu, and on that menu, second from the bottom, it just says restart Docker desktop, and then you click on that, and that's the way to do it. Okay, you do a reset from inside the settings, it wipes out the containers. Okay, so you don't want to do that unless you absolutely have to. Okay, and then so try it, and good luck. And then if it works, let me know. If it doesn't work, let me know, and then I'll try to figure out what might went wrong. Okay, but it's if I had to say what is the most reliable way to get Docker going, it's to get a virtual machine that's running Ubuntu Linux and just install it inside there. That's the easiest, even though that's not an easy thing to do. It's the easiest way to get it, and that's the most reliable. Once it's working, then I don't run into problems where all of a sudden it stops working. Okay, okay, so try it at your own risk. Yeah. Okay, so that basically is it. Any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to be walking around seeing where people are with their, oh no, before that, I'm going to finish grading those last stuff and get it back to you, then I'll start walking around. Okay, so that's it then. Okay.